Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. I almost forgot what day it is. Today we're going to talk about how to use the paradigm shift in 2024. We only have a few months left in this year, but I wanted to continue what I was doing before with this particular video. So we got Instagram in the house. I'm going to actually zoom in. It's so funny how much you can zoom in on Instagram. I don't think this feature was always there. But I'm going to share a little bit of the video of Bob talking here and giving you some value. But I'm also going to kind of take a little things that speak to me and just speak on them a little bit. I'm going to try and turn this around so you, Instagram, you can see it, um, and my phone doesn't cut off. So anyway, yeah, tap in with this, and if anything really speaks to you, before I forget, join this Sunday's free webinar. The link is in the description. RSVP to that, and I'm gonna tap in a lot more of what's being shared here at a deeper level. But it's very valuable information. It's essential, to your growth and changing your results in life. It's not just the knowledge part of it. It's really what do you want in your life? Like, what do you want to receive? Like a better lifestyle. And you got to kind of see a better version of you and where you're going and visualize it and have focus on it every day. A lot of times we just let our days go by without really thinking about thinking or stopping to think. And I'm gonna let Bob kind of take over here. So let me share my screen and Instagram. I got you. I'll figure this out. Let me zoom out so it doesn't look crazy. And where are we? There we go. And I'll just skip any ads that we get in the YouTube video. And of course, reach out to me, if anything speaks to you and you want to, speak on a deeper level here. There it is. Okay, I found it. Also share audio. Yes. All right, enjoy. Take notes.
I would say I'm cleaning offices. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. But a lot of people were cleaning offices. They weren't doing what I was doing. A lot of people had read Think and Grow Rich. They weren't doing what I was doing. Now, I was trying to figure out how the heck did this happen? See, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you're going to be really smart. Well, I knew I wasn't that smart, but I was earning a lot of money. I was raised to believe if you're going to have a good job, you have to have a good formal education. I didn't have a good formal education. I didn't have a good job. I owned the whole company. And so I started to study. You see, I thought, I'm believing in lies. You don't have to be smart to earn a lot of money. There's people that are functionally illiterate. They can neither read nor write, and they're earning millions of dollars. There's people heading up large corporations that have never been inside a school. Now, I'm not anti-school. I've made sure all my kids went through school. I just changed the question. I didn't ask them if they were going to go. I asked them where they were going to go. I'm mentioning this because I believe anyone can do anything if they can sit down and write it out on a piece of paper and then work at changing what's going on inside. See, in 1990, Joel Barker wrote a book. It's called Paradigms. He said, to be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm. Now, I had no idea what a paradigm was. And you might ask yourself, do you really know what a paradigm is? Do you understand how the mind works? Because the paradigm has something to do with the mind. I knew nothing about it. But the man that encouraged me to study this put me on a track where I just kept going from one great mentor to another. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I heard about a man in Vancouver. I was trying to figure out why I changed. I had left my own business. I went to work with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant in Chicago. Ended up being their vice president of sales. I would have gone there. I would have paid them to let me work there. I wanted to work with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant because I wanted to study. I wanted to know, why did I change? I knew I wasn't lucky. And I heard about a man in Vancouver. Somebody said, Bob, you should go and listen to him. So I got on a plane and I flew out to Vancouver. At the end of the seminar, when the guy got on the stage, I knew that he knew what he was talking about. There was just such certainty in his talk. And so at the end of the seminar, I said, I would like to sit down with you for a couple hours. But he said, I'd like to probably sit down with you for a couple hours. But he looked at his watch. He said, I got to get out of here. And I said, I got to go now too. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going back to Chicago. He said, what are you doing out here? I said, I come out to hear you speak. Now, I think he was impressed that I had traveled so far to listen to him. So I said, look, I'm not going to be in Chicago anytime in the near future, but I'm going to be in Toronto. And I said, I'm from Toronto. I'll fly over. I'll meet you over there. And so the two of us sat down in the Skyline Hotel. And we were there. We were supposed to be 3 hours. We were there for about 3 days. And he and I were as thick as thieves right up until he died. Now, he introduced me to this idea that I'm going to introduce you to. And what I'm going to show you is, without question, the most powerful idea I have ever learned. And if you don't understand this, the odds of you making great changes are very, very slim. I want you to look at the mind and then look at paradigms. But let's personalize it. Let's look at your mind and your paradigm. Now, let that drawing represent your mind. That, by the way, is the most valuable concept I have ever learned. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the body. Okay. Now, the conscious mind is the thinking mind. Do you know that the average person does not think? Do you know that thinking is a subject that's not taught in school? You'll say everybody thinks. Hardly anyone thinks. I remember Earl Nightingale used to say, if the average person said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. Do you know what we do? We confuse mental activity with thinking. That's not thinking. Listen to what most people are saying. They'd never say what they're saying if they were thinking. Watch their behavior. They'd never do what they were doing if they were thinking. Back in 1981, I picked up a paper from Dr. Lawrence Rampell. Listen to what he said. Thinking is a skill which can be learned just as we learn skills such as typing and playing the piano. Few public schools offer courses devoted expressly to teaching thinking. Rather, we are expected to learn and teach thinking as a byproduct of learning mathematics, reading, history, science, a trade, and so forth. And we do learn a lot about thinking in that way. The trouble is we learn our thinking skills in bits and pieces, and we never put it together as an overall picture. If asked to describe what all is required in order to think effectively, most of us would be at a loss to give a complete account. Thus, we are unable to assess our own thinking skills or systematically teach the skill of thinking to others. Well, it's with your conscious mind you think. This is also what we call the educated mind. And I'm going to come back to that because I'm going to show you just how far off track we get with that. Now, this is where our intellect is resident. And it's the intellectual factors that give you the ability to be the creative ability. You say you're created in God's image? Well, that's where the creative faculty comes in. In our intellectual factors, you have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, intuition. Now, the subconscious mind is quite different from the conscious mind. That's what we call the emotional mind. See, the conscious mind can think, so therefore you have the ability to choose. You literally choose where you're going. Now, the choice may be unconscious, but it is a choice. You have the ability here to accept or reject information. When we see something come on the news about the economy's taking a dive, say maybe for them or you, but not for me. You've got the ability to reject information. Somebody starts to tell you a bad story, reject it. Now think. You have the ability to accept or reject in your conscious mind. You have the ability to originate ideas in your conscious mind. You can originate any idea you want. Now, your subconscious mind has no ability to reject. It must accept. And here's something else. Whatever's placed in the subconscious mind is going to dictate your world. It really will. And your imagination or your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what you imagine and what's real. So if you imagine something happening and you get emotionally involved, it's actually starting to happen. You may say, well, that's ridiculous. Well, the Wright brothers didn't think so. Ed Hillary didn't think so. Steve Jobs didn't think so. Think about it. Thomas Edison didn't think so. Alexander Graham Bell. See, we listen to them and think, well, they're different. No, they're not different. They're exactly the same as you and me. Now look here for a moment. I've given you the basics about the mind. Now let's look at this. Today, you're being inundated with information in your conscious mind from radio, from other people, from TV, from newspapers. And you have the ability, because you have a reasoning factor, you have the ability to think. And you can say, I don't want that information. I'm not accepting that. And you can cause it to go away. But you know something? We don't do that. Not only don't we not do that, we don't even think about it. We don't even think. Why? We leave our mind wide open. And it goes right in. What do we say about the subconscious? It has no ability to reject. It must accept. Why do we do that? Because we're programmed to do it. That's why we do it. That's our paradigm. How did that happen? How did it happen that we go around leaving our subconscious mind wide open? Because it's what's going on in the subconscious that dictates what you do. Well, let's look at it for a minute. Let's close the window here and open it over here. Now, I'm hoping you're paying attention to this because this can be worth millions to you. It can cause you to live in a healthier body. It can cause you to build your business. See, this is you as an infant. Not today. This is you as an infant. And what's going on? Whatever's happening around you goes right into your subconscious mind. And it just keeps going in over and over and over. See, you're programmed genetically. That's why you look like your relatives. There's a little particle of energy from mom, a little particle of energy from dad came together. And that was the nucleus of you. And 280 days later, you made your debut on the planet. But you have all that DNA, moms and dads, going back for generations. You're genetically programmed Many of your beliefs have just been passed from one generation to the next, and many of them are absolutely ridiculous. Well, you see, your self-image is formed when you're in your little life, when you don't even have the ability to think. Now, self-image is just one idea. A multitude of ideas are a paradigm. Look at the people we're surrounded by. Robert Heinlein said, in absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. Now think about that. In absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. Now think of the number of people that you know that are enslaved to daily trivia. They talk about nothing. They never accomplish anything. They get the same results. If they're short money now, they were short a year ago. They were short a year before that. They're forever getting a car on payment. The idea of going and writing a check is just out of their mind. Why? Well, you see, that's probably what the people were doing that we surrounded by as we were little kids. And the ideas that just keep going in over and over and over again form the paradigm. A paradigm is nothing but a multitude of ideas that are fixed in the subconscious mind. And so here we are, as hard as it is to believe, 20, 30, 50, 60 years later, living exactly the same as we were programmed when we were little kids. Do you know that most people on welfare are fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients? It's rather strange. Now, what do? Well, we leave this situation and we go to school. What does school do? Well, let's look at it. School gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us anything about paradigms. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. Now think, superior knowledge. Think about it. Inferior results. What does that do? That causes confusion and frustration. Now think about this for a moment. We've got great knowledge, but we know nothing about the paradigm. So watch here. Here's the drawing. There's the model. There's all the knowledge we got in school. We've got it packed in there. But you know something? It doesn't equate to the results we're getting. You're going to find absolutely brilliant people getting very bad results. You're going to find people that are brilliant. They know exactly what to do, but they don't do it. Why? It's the paradigm that controls the behavior. Now listen, I've studied this for over half a century. I had no formal education. I had no business experience. I earned millions of dollars. I'm 81 years old. I've got more energy than most people that are 21. I have a sister-in-law that says he's 81, he looks about 60, and he's actually like he's about 30. Well, she did that down pretty good because that's just about the way it is. Why? It's because I understand how to use the mind. Now look at, if you want to change your results, if you really want to change the results, there's something that you've got to do. You've got to know how to change the paradigm. And if you don't change the paradigm, I don't care what, nothing's going to happen. You'll find people going back to school because I think if I got some more knowledge, no, you're not short on knowledge. We're short on behavioral patterns. And that's really what we have to do. Let's think about it. Let's really think about it. Paradigms. What are they? A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Now think about that. And here's what you want to remember. Almost all of our behavior is habitual. When you get up in the morning, you follow a routine. If you're married, your spouse follows a routine and you don't mess around with the other person's routine. That's just the way it works. Now let's take a look at what a paradigm is and how it controls us. This is really important. Your paradigm. Let's look at the areas of your life your paradigm has enormous influence over. Your paradigm controls your perception. Paradigm programming. I'll frequently go up to a person and a seminar and I'll say, if I ask the audience what color you are, what would they tell me? They'd say, I'm black. Okay. And you'd say, I'm white. But the truth is you're not black and I'm not white. Now everybody looks at me, where's he going? The person's skin may be dark, but it's not black. My skin may be light, but it's not white. If you ever saw a white person, you'd probably scream and run. See, the problem is we don't see with our eyes. We see through our eyes. We see with cells of recognition in our brain. Our perception is messed up. We see something that isn't even there. And even after I say that, they say, no, he's black. No, not white. That's what you see. You see with cells of recognition in your brain. Well, when you shift your perception, everything in your world changes. You see, my perception of what I was capable of doing like that started to change when I had the right information. See, you've got to spend time and you've got to spend money if you're going to change you. Back around 1970, Alvin Toffler wrote a book called Future Shock. And the idea behind it was the future is going to shock people. And it was a prediction of what was going to happen over the next 40 or 50 years. And I remember reading a book. I was working at Miguel Conant in Chicago at the time, and it was quite a popular book. And everybody said, wow, this couldn't possibly happen. Well, we thought Alvin Toffler was really daydreaming, and he really was, but he fell short. We did far more than what he projected. Now, recently, Toffler came out again, And he said the illiterate of the 21st century are not going to be the people who cannot read and write. They're going to be the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now think about that. They're going to be the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is really important. Our paradigm causes our perception. Our paradigm controls our use of time. Everybody gets exactly the same amount of time. They get all there is. You see, it's what we do with our time that makes the difference. One individual will accomplish more in a week than another person will in a year. Some people can earn more in a day than other people will in a year. How are you utilizing your time? People buy time management programs. That is a joke. Time can't be managed. No one can manage time. The only thing we can manage is activities. Now think about it. Do you know the paradigm controls our creativity? We'll find people say, well, I'm really not creative. Why do we have great big companies and little wee creative departments? Because we're raised to believe some people are creative and some are not. Everybody is creative. We have these creative faculties. What we want to do is learn how to develop them. Think. How about being effective? Our perception controls, or our paradigm controls our effectiveness. You see, the paradigm is a program in our subconscious mind that controls the vibration we're in, therefore it controls what we do, and it controls what we attract into our life. Our paradigm controls our productivity. It literally controls our productivity. As I shift my paradigm, my productivity goes right through the roof. Our paradigm controls our logic. And you know something? Logic is that ceiling we keep banging against. When those two young bicycle mechanics back around 1903 from Dayton, Ohio said, we're going to get a plane in the air, everybody thought they were out of their mind, but they got it in the air. Now somebody said, but they only kept it up there for 14 seconds. It was a matter of perception. They said, we not only got it in the air, we kept it in the air for 14 seconds. And look at today. You know, last week I flew to Dubai on Emirates. And
all right, I went a lot further than I thought. So let me save that spot and let me get out of exit full screen and stop sharing. And this way you can see the screen. Oh no, the screen went blank. Okay, there we go. And we're still live all over the place. Good. And we are not muted. Awesome. Okay, so this particular video, and Bob shared so much there. Very, very powerful information. If you got something out of it, put in the comments and let me know. Because, you know, I jotted down a few things that spoke to me. And make sure you want to, he talked a lot about paradigms here and went more in depth about paradigms than I remember in this video. So that's exactly what I'm going to be discussing this Sunday. So make sure in the description of this post on the Facebook and YouTube, you click the link there to RSVP. I think the event's at 10 a.m. Eastern. Instagram, it's the link in my bio. You'll see join the next free event. So one thing that stood out to me, what Bob said, he said, why did I change? That question right there basically created his momentum. Why did I change? And what happened, if you remember, I posted a little bit a couple months ago, this particular video. He basically went from making like $4,000 a year to being well over multiple six figures to being over seven figures, being a millionaire at that time, right? So basically he was making a lot of money in a very short span. And Bob wasn't, Bob was Bob, but you know, he got that level of success, but he was wondering why, what happened to me? How did I change going from owing people, not making much money, to making well over seven figures within a little bit over a year? So that question, you know, basically drove him to understand more about himself. And that's how, you know, it kind of took him on this journey of paradigms, the mind, thinking, habitual behaviors. That one question, how did this happen? How did I turn from that guy to this guy, right? So very powerful question. I wanted to write that down. And you should ask yourself that question as well. Why am I here? Why are my results the way they are? And also, how can I get here? These are questions you get the clarity that you've been seeking, right? So something he said here, we confuse mental activity with thinking. I love this because what is it? 95% of people, um, actually, what is it? 2% of people think, 3% of people think they think, and 95% of people would rather die than think. So I know that quote, but basically, not a lot of people actually think. Never confuse mental activity with thinking. Majority of people do, unfortunately. Mental activity, just, oh, I got to go wash the clothes and I'm going to watch this show and I got to feed the kids and then I got to cook dinner or I got to water the lawn. Oh, I got to meet with that person that day. Oh, I got to get on a call that day. This is just mental activity. Thinking, awareness is a higher level. Thinking is a higher awareness of yourself and being aware of the type of thoughts that tried to come into your mind, especially negative ones. So conscious mind can choose. Now, Bob talked about the stick figure. Basically, it's a representation of your mind. The conscious mind can choose whatever it wants. It can accept or reject any thoughts. This is where you have the choice of what you focus on, or the dreams you originate in your conscious mind. What type of things you choose to put energy into. You always have a choice. And we allow circumstances, people, environment, whatever, shape what we think. Most people do until you learn how to think or become more aware to think. This is one of my favorite topics because for years, I allowed the outside world to shape my thinking. I allowed negative things to make me feel a type of way about myself, about whatever results I was getting. I allowed negative things to shape my thinking, right? And it obviously the results in my life at certain times. So your conscious mind can always choose, right? Always choose. Now your subconscious mind, it doesn't have the ability to choose. Now Bob showed the diagram, in our upbringing as kids, our mind is wide open. A couple of I have a daughter and you've seen the post there. Her mind is open to a lot of things, a lot of influences. And this is how all of us are raised, right? Whether your parents gave you certain things or your environment gave you certain things, you're still consuming this information without that type of conscious awareness. So you're just allowing it go to your subconscious mind, which creates your reality, your results, your habitual behavior. So the subconscious mind basically doesn't have the ability to choose like the conscious mind. It just accepts what's given to it. All right, my friends, I'm just really going there so that way you kind of get an understanding of how powerful you really are. Right? We've been given these gifts. So it doesn't know what is real or not. This is he brushed over that. This is good stuff. Your subconscious doesn't know. It can't differentiate between what is real. What is real, right? Compared to what is imagined. It doesn't know. It just accepts. So knowing that is so, so, so important. Your subconscious mind, they also refer to it as the heart of hearts, or the garden, or the emotional mind. So there's different terms for it. I do love the garden because what you plant there grows, right? And what are you planting in your garden, right? So he says, I wrote this down. In absence of clearly defined goals, there's a quote in this, we become strangely loyal to daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it. Let me read that again. In absence of clearly defined goals, we are goal-seeking organisms. We need clarity. We need simple goals to go for every day. I have my task list, right? I'm actually really, really, becoming very organized with this because I like seeing it. And I like checking things off. I get happy, right? Because I'm holding myself accountable for me, my actions, and my mindset. I'm developing my mindset, my spirituality, and also changing my results. I'm helping people do the same thing with their businesses, themselves. I love it. So the point is, in absence of clearly defined goals, what is your goal? What's your goal? Right? What's your goal? Is it written down? Do you have a date? So this is getting order of the mind, right? Order is heaven's first law. Okay. So knowing where you're going is so important, because what happens, you become enslaved to daily trivia, meaning you become the plaything for outside sources. So it's playing with you because you don't know where you're going. You don't know what direction you're headed in. You don't know what your goal is. You're kind of just aimlessly walking. You ever seen somebody walking, just strolling without any direction? You can tell how the body moves. You can tell, just strolling along, dragging their feet, or walking in zigzag, and there's no energy into their posture. Look at the movement, body movement. It speaks, right? So, and it says until we become enslaved by it. Oh, yeah. So you actually, without the goals, you're enslaved by the daily trivia. So it's just playing along, pulling you along here and there, wherever. That's how a lot of people live most of their lives, unfortunately. But I'm here to give this information, to give you some clarity, some motivation, some inspiration to really understand how to get better results in life. You have to have a goal. And every day, revisit that goal. Every day, multiple times if you can. That keeps it in your mind's eye, right? And this is how you choose the thoughts in your conscious mind and how you impress the subconscious. So, and get better results ultimately. So, brilliant people with bad results. I wrote this down. There's the conscious mind. I know a lot of people, a lot of friends and colleagues have all these degrees, right? Super smart people, lovely people. I love all people, but, have all this knowledge, but inferior results. Now, what this means, really smart people can be very unsuccessful in life. Really talented people can be very unsuccessful in life, you know, but on the flip side, un unintelligent people can be very rich or very wealthy, whatever terms you want to use. Why is that? It's because of the paradigm, right? So you can have superior knowledge, but inferior results. Whatever's in your conscious mind, that doesn't really, it's great to know all these things, but the paradigm controls basically your habitual behavior, what the body does. And I wrote it down here. Mental program that has almost exclusive control of our habitual behavior. That's what a paradigm is. It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control of our habitual behavior. All right. So imagine that you're habitually doing even the way you think, even like your own belief system. This is habitual because of the paradigm, because of what we allowed in our conscious mind. And the way to reverse it, Bob mentioned the 6 mental faculties. You really have to start with your imagination. And this is how you start choosing your thoughts and originate the thought that you want, because you deserve it. We're meant to live in abundance. We really are. But you have to see that for yourself and also get uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable, because the paradigm wants you to be comfortable. Yesterday, I shared personal things I never shared before on camera. I wanted to get uncomfortable. This is where true growth is and the treasures you seek, right? So, your paradigm has influence over your perception. I mentioned that. Like your paradigm dictates your own logic and your own perception, how you see this. I shared with some, close friends and people I know a lot of this material, and their perception, they just it closed off, like it's not open to receive, even though they desire change. That's deep. That's why you can't escape a prison if you don't know that you're in one. But you want more money, more time, better lifestyle, but you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone. Why is that? Because the paradigm is strong. You're used to being comfortable in a bubble. Even the mind is not open to receive, but yet you desire more, but yet you don't want to do anything different. Doing the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. So, what we do with our time makes the difference. So, Bob talked about managing time. I got to manage my time better. We all get the same time in a day. We're all blessed, even to be here. We're blessed to be here, right? And we're blessed to have each moment. It's what we do with those moments on a very deep level, not only activity wise, which is important. Like I'm here on camera, I've been going live pretty much every day. I'm not going to stop unless the universe wants to stop me for whatever reason. So not only physically what we do, but also how we do it. We do things in a certain way. And that's from the science of getting rich. And what is the certain way? Getting in the spirit of it. So what that means is you're doing it in whole self. You're not like you're half. You're thinking about, okay, right? For instance, I'm cooking dinner after this. I'm not thinking cook dinner while I'm on camera. I'm not thinking, oh, this person would only see a few numbers live. Oh, wait, somebody dropped a comment. I'm not thinking that, right? I'm doing this wholeheartedly. My mental state, my spirit, my physical is all here. I'm doing things in a certain way with faith, but knowing and high awareness. So I just wanted to touch on, I went way over time. I wanted to touch on a few things Bob shared there. And, this Sunday, we're going to go deeper in how to use our minds and the thought energy. We're going to talk more about conscious and subconscious, but also how all this ties into your life, the results you have. And the more you understand this, the better you can use it, because I want the best for everybody, but you have to want the best for yourself as well, right? You have to make a choice. So this Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, I believe, or 11. Either way, you see the link and click on it and you'll see the time. It's free. I'm not charging for that. There's something else I was going to share. But of course, this speaks to you. Reach out to me and we'll do a one-on-one call. I actually have to get back to a few people. But yeah, this is very, very powerful information. I hope it brought some type of insight. I hope it brought some type of value to you, some type of, oh, I never knew that, or some type of inspiration, So anyway, I'm over time. I'm out of here. Got to go cook, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow. All right. I've been realizing what I've been doing with Instagram, so I'm gonna zoom back out, and there's my screenshot. All right, there we go. All right, reach out if I can help any further, and much love to everybody. All right, catch you.